All right, so today we're gonna work on this thing. So if you would have seen in some other part, maybe it's in this video, maybe it's in another one, but recently just had the oil change over. I have a local mechanic that does that, and a lot of people may ask, well, why don't you do that yourself? I can't. If it gets too sloppy, too messy, people complain. If I could fit it in there, I totally would, but I can't. And so it leads me to have to do things that I can here and other things that I can't, that I can sub out over to somebody else. So on the Prados, if you didn't know, you have this area that points to where the hood prop goes, but got new oil change. One of the other things that I do want to look into doing too is definitely replacing this air filter, because you could tell it's already gone. So we'll probably do that. I'll have to go grab it because I know I have a brand new one somewhere, but Jesus, this is like stuck. There we go. That's pretty filthy. It's been a couple months since I've done it, so we'll replace that. We'll replace the brakes. I know this is at its minimum. I know that the brake fluid light keeps coming on, so I got to do the brake. First, I got to move this so I can have access to that. And then I'll probably just pull apart this wheel here, start doing this wheel, and I'll show you how to do all that. I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a learning curve for me and hopefully for you as well, because upon doing some research, you have to kind of get parts from different vehicles here in America. So you have these. So these are the part numbers. I'll confirm if they work or not, but they have the wear indicator here. But these came off of a Tacoma. A Tacoma uses the same front brakes and all that, uses different rear brakes, and this is also for the 4Runners. And so basically the 4Runners had drum brakes here in the States, but what did have the 6 lug pattern, not 5, because Toyota did 5 and 6, was the GX 470. So we have wheels for the rear end for the GX 470. We're going to see if those actually work. We're actually going to pull those apart to see if we actually need brakes in the rear. Hopefully we don't. I don't know. We'll see. But we definitely need brakes in the front. You can start to tell when you need brakes. See all that cakeness? It's all caked on both on the front and rear. So let's get to it. What you're going to want to do is jack it up. I jacked it up just from this cradle area here, right in front where the frame, I guess you could say, the subframe of the actual car or the SUV is here, where the front control arm meets. So jacked it up from there, put a jack stand just so it's sitting on the jack stand. Always leave the jack there as precaution, just in case anything was to happen, if that jack stand fails for any reason. So basically we got to get to this, and then from here there's actually, saw a trick somebody, what they did is they removed this bolt, and then this kind of falls freely, because here they put a hard line directly to the caliper, and so when you have a hard line to the caliper, there's not much room that you can move and do things with. But first we'll take care of the brake pads here. They're getting kind of low. They're not dangerously low, but they're pretty low to the point where they should be removed. So what we're gonna do is first remove this clip that you see right here. We're gonna take it off of the pins, and then once we remove that clip, we're gonna punch these 2 pins out. And once we punch those 2 pins out, we'll be able to remove this hardware. And then from there, what I'll do is I'll compress the pistons back in. So let me show you that first. Note to self, it is easier if you just turn the whole wheel so it faces this way. I did notice that we may have a little bit of clunking here, so that might mean that we may need to rebuild the CV axles, but for now they seem to be okay. One thing I did want to look into doing is maybe the ball joints on these, but they seem to be okay. Overall, the car, the rust isn't too crazy. There's surface rust kind of in some places, but you can see the new starter was replaced. The starter's right under here. So I could have done it, but it just, for what the mechanic offered me, it was too good to be true, and I was like, you know what, let's just have him take care of it, and that's it. So again, get these 2 pins off of here, or not these 2 pins, but you'll see you just have to remove this piece of hardware from there, and then slide this out, punch the pins out, and go from there. So we'll start with what I said before. What you want to do is this little clip here, you want to depress this guy to let him go through, back through that little hole. Now you just want to push those sides and then kind of pull. I need both my hands for that. For that guy, you'll see you got to depress this and depress that up there, and you'll be good to go. And then it'll slide right out of there. And then this is going to be a 12 mil. I already broke it loose with my ratchet. I'll come back here, take this bolt off, and then look, this is able to move back and forth now, which allows me to move the whole caliper. And it's pretty straightforward for this. You'll just need a set of needle nose, pull that guy back, pull this guy back, and you just kind of pop that in place. But normally what happens is they go under here, and then you go boom, boom, and then out of there. And then, like I said, you'll just need to move these pins. Oh, gotta love Japan. Japan with this stuff, it's just, there's not very much. I mean, there is rust in certain parts of Japan, but for the most part, these guys come off pretty easily, as you saw just from there. And then you can just take a set of needle nose or whatever you got lying around and kind of pry it off this way. Same thing up here. And then just keep prying them, and then boom, the hardware kind of comes off like that. And then this guy comes off. Should be good to go. And then normally you can take these and push them in like I'm doing, like that. You can see that there without losing it, because it seems like we're about to lose it. And let's see, do the same thing on this side. But mostly you want the caliper to kind of depress itself back in there. So now that I got most of that depressed back in, I'm going to try and finish it. See, nice and easy. I need both hands for this other side, so let me get to it. Eventually, as you work it, you can work it like this and kind of just depress those pistons back in. Same thing on this side. Let's see, the rotor should cooperate a little. Again, most of the time I need both my hands for this, but you see, sometimes you do one side and then the other side pushes back out, and so you have to do it in little bits. And then eventually they'll both be pushed in enough to you'll be able to slide these guys out. Just a minute, I'll show you. And then you'll just be able to pull it out. It looks like I may have gotten the correct ones. Maybe in Japan they do the brakes a little different. But as far as I'm aware, the wear indicator was supposed to be on the inside, not the outside. But for some reason they're on the inside on this. It looks like these have plates too. So these are probably OEM ones. Still got a decent amount of life left, but we're already here. We might as well just get rid of it and call it a day. Looks like they were lubed up and everything. So now we're gonna undo the caliper bolts here on the back. You got that one and that one. You do enough brake jobs in your job that sometimes you can guesstimate the size, and my size that I guesstimated was a 17, and it was correct. So we'll break that one loose, break that one loose, and then what I need to get is a caliper holder to hold the caliper in place up here so it doesn't dangle. And a trick of the trade, if you don't have a caliper holder and you have zip ties, just use zip ties and use them to your advantage, and that's all you have to do is really. And now the rotor's actually loose to come out of here, so we'll just pop this rotor off and we should be good. And then if you want to run brake cleaner through this, you can, just to get all the grime off of it. I've seen some of them on YouTube where the people are doing it and they're super rusty. This one happens to be okay. The rotor itself has a bit of a lip, enough where it's like, you know what, I could pad slap it is what they call it, but it's just so much better. I think one of these cost me 55 bucks. So for $110 I have new, I think 150 bucks I have new brakes on the front. And so that's peace of mind that I'm not going to have to, you know, change these out or get them resurfaced or anything. Just new ones. The new ones come with warranty, which is something that I like. I did see somebody on YouTube where they put it and it had a bunch of grooves, and it's just like, that's a big no-no. I mean, can you do that? Will it survive and it'll be fine? Yeah, but you'll be pad slapping it so many times. So better off just getting new rotors. We're going to see if the new rotors that we have are the correct ones, and hope for the best. So let me open these up, compare them, and see what happens. This is why it's important to check before you commit to something, because you see the difference in these. These are much smaller than these, so I think I'm going to have to go with the same as what originally was on there, which is probably going to be for the GX brakes. And so I don't know why I thought the Tundra, or not the Tundra, but the Tacoma or the 4Runner is going to be the same size. So this is a little bit of a predicament, but that's okay, because now I'll call up the parts place and see if they have the correct ones that I need. So I'll put these in the bag, go see, maybe I can leave the car here on the jack stand real quick while I run over to the parts store and check out to see if they have the correct ones. All right, just confirming the pads. The pads seem to be okay. They seem to be the same. but the rotors are definitely different. So I'm running back to Advanced Auto Parts with the new ones and then also one of the old ones, and we're going to see what we can find. I'm going to leave this here and just run over really quickly. This is the old starter too. All right, so this is why you watch my videos, because I go through the hard things so you know what to get and what not to get. But again, always shout out to Advanced Auto Parts. They don't sponsor me. I really wish they do, but my local one does always take care of me. And the perks of working at a shop before, they give me shop pricing. So we're gonna ride back home and hit the road and hopefully be able to finish this because I'm blocking my neighbor's driveway. Okay, now we're back. A little bit more calm. Luckily, my neighbor didn't come while I was out. But so now what we'll do is take some brake fluid, clean that up, put the box under here. But let me show you what the correct part numbers are. So again, you're probably watching this because you have a Prado. This happens to have the 3.4 gas engine in it. So if you're looking for brake pads, you're going to get them off of a 1998 Toyota Tacoma. And they actually work for a 2004 as well, but you have to make sure that you get the four-wheel drive model. And here's a part number from CarQuest or from Advanced Auto Parts. It's going to be PXD436AH. That's for the front pads. The rear is going to be different, but the front rotors are going to be, again, CarQuest or Advanced Auto Parts can be YH145137. And that literally made it up to be the exact same as that. So we'll get the new one out. We'll spray this with some brake cleaner. We'll get it all put back together and then go from there. Cool, so it's installed, fits how it should. Looks like how it should exactly. I put some what's it called, just brake part lubricant on the back side of this, so it's just an extra way so it doesn't get super crusty. Other thing is, if you have a rag, just clean off the area of the excess dust, and then what I'll show you is where you want to put your lubricant is anywhere those pads are going to end up sliding back and forth, here, up here as well, and then around the rings, just so that you don't get any brake squeak as it goes in and out. And then eventually I'll clean these up a little bit better and put those back in. Let me do this now. So normally your brake pads like have a actual thing they slide in. In theory, they don't really slide in here, but they still make, friction going back and forth, so they technically do slide. And then I usually just lube the sides where I know there's going to be friction, and then the back. And then these are supposed to be on the rear, so these two pins, so we'll put those in the rear, and then the other one is supposed to be on the front. What's really cool is, look, it tells you that that's the correct way. It literally says right hand drive outer, and I'm sure the other one in the rear said right hand drive inner, which I guess we can in theory pull it out here and take a look at that. No, I guess it just says inner, I think is what it said. But I'll look at the other pad when we go to put it in. But yeah, it slides in there. Don't do what I just did, which is slide it too far in. But I'll pull that back out. We'll lube this one up and put it in there. Just like we found it, this was facing down. Actually, the pin slid in and out really nicely, which is something that I like. And then we'll take these guys and adjust the pins the way that we need to by just kind of pulling them down this way, and that one down this way. There we go. And then the way that I did it before was put this in, put this guy in, and then put this guy in. I need two hands for that. And just like that, we've successfully been able to install the brakes on there on the front right. And now we can move over to the front left. Just want to get some of this extra excess off of it. Not that it's going to be bad for it, but I don't want my fingers all over it when I'm trying to put the wheel back on. So this is good. It's the way that it should be. This is good. The only thing, don't forget, like I almost forgot, is put your brake line bolt back on. This little guy, we're going to thread it here, and we're going to put him back in where he belongs. And then we're going to, the ABS sensor, we're going to hook it back up. And that's on. And the little hook back there. Now we're all set. Now we can turn the wheel, put the wheel back on, and then move the car because they're finally out of the way, and then do the other side, and then eventually we'll start to see what we can do about the rear. And now we get to put the wheel back on. Now we'll just double check everything. We'll eventually get a torque stick on here and torque these to the correct torque, which I still have to look up what that is, but now we have brand new brakes on the front. And now we can wash this eventually. It needs a Teggy touch. We got to go back to Teggy. Jack stands out of the way. Bring this up and then let her down. We'll back it up and do it to the other side. One very important thing when you get back in the car after you've done the brakes, make sure you pump that pedal, because you don't want this thing to go flying backwards and the brake not to catch the way that it's supposed to. That had me worried there for a second. It felt like the pedal was kind of falling down the way it shouldn't be. Anyways, we'll back it up, do the other side, and finish it up. So interesting. I know that I was on a slant or whatever, but just doing one front brake pads and rotors, it went from being on the minimum to being like halfway up. So I'm sure when I do the other side, it'll go back up, and that should stop the light from coming on periodically. So we're gonna jack up this front end, take the wheel off, and go from there. And then I still got to torque the other side. Like I figured it would be. It's 98 foot-pounds like most Toyotas are. So if you don't know how to torque a wheel, but basically get yourself a torque stick, and then looks like my gun already pretty much took care of torquing it. That's good. One-handed and holding the camera is not helpful, but I'm gonna go all around to double, triple check these so that wheel doesn't fall off. And the foremans are on the job here. They're inspecting the tools, make sure they work, but we'll put them to work to get the lug nuts off. Saca, quita ese. Quita este. Quítalo de ahí. No, duro. Agárralo y... Duro, duro, duro. Mira, yo te lo tengo. Dame. Okay, go. Agarra. 1, 2, 3, sácalo. Pull, 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 pull. Dale, tú puedes. 1, 2, 3. Agárralo duro. Oh my goodness. Go. Go, suave, okay? Un minuto. Go. Good job. Muy bien. Okay. Whoa, easy. Ya va. Suave. Okay, dale. Yeah. Todo. Suave. Okay, go. I still have to learn the variable trigger, but dale. Go. Whoa, easy. Go. Good job. Ahora hazle un kick. Duro. Párate. Whoa. Muy bien. Okay. ¿Quieres ver para qué se hace? Yeah, turn the wheel to the left, please. Megan's turning the wheel to the left for us here. Yeah, keep going that way. Yep, keep going. More. Aggie, ese es para acá. Ven, yo te enseño. Just like we did on the other side, remove everything. Fortunately, I ended up busting this out. When I get to the part where the caliper comes off, I'll take a look to see if I can somehow remove it. I know people said that this is the most common point of failure right there, because you could see it is pretty rusty crusty. And so maybe we'll just end up zip tying it around this part over here so it holds. I don't know yet. We'll see. So if I'm able to tap it out somehow, then I'll tap it out. If not, then it is what it is. So we'll pull these pins out of the way here and move them and kind of get everything out and go from there. What I did to the other side is exactly what I'm doing to this side. I wonder, it almost looks like a little bit of an oil leak. Maybe when he was, oh, that's what it was. Maybe when he took the filter out, some oil dropped and didn't get cleaned up. So, hey, that's what a little bit of that's for. Anyways, get it cleaned up, get it moved out of the way and go. All right, so the pads are out, pins are out, cleaned up a little bit, push the pistons in as much as possible. We're gonna remove the 217s that are back here, and that'll remove the caliper. I gotta go get some zip ties to put on the top. Just like that, it's off, it's moved out of the way. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother trying to tap this out for right now. What it's gonna be is just gonna end up with a zip tie. Kind of inspecting the boots over here, making sure that everything's good. Those are okay. These are okay, they don't seem to be split. It's kind of interesting, it's got a wire there. I don't feel any play really in the front end, which is a really good sign, but let me show you what the old rotor looks like and what the new rotor looks like. Again, these came off of a 2004 Toyota Tacoma, and this is the 98 Prado. So maybe that just means that Japan is ahead of its time by putting, you know, nicer, better brakes on their cars before we got them here in America. Or I think it's just a coincidence maybe, but you can see right off the bat, let me open it up. Right off the bat, the way I was taught to check, you know, if they're the same. They're the same depth here. And then what I do is flip it over on this side and just kind of touch them together. And they are the same. The two barrels are the same length. And then the other thing I do is flip it upside down here. Line up the holes. They line up the holes. The barrels line up. They're pretty close together. If anything, this might be slightly thicker. And then the other way is stand both of these up. Stand both of these up. The heat sinks kind of match up. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Could I have gotten these resurfaced? Yeah, absolutely. But probably for the same price as getting a new set, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's a way of life. So I'll clean this up. Again, clean this all up. I guess we could do that now so you guys can see what I'm talking about when I say just use some carb cleaner or some brake parts cleaner. May not seem like it's doing much, but look how dark that's coming out. Anywhere where the dust may be that you don't want the dust there. And these are getting kind of rusty, crusty, but not the end of the world. I have my rags here, and if you want to go and do some extra, clean it off, wipe it off, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, Bob's your uncle. Now we're good. Just remember, I already did it, but clean this surface off, because from the factory they put like fish oil or some sort of oil to stop it from rusting while it's sitting on the shelf or in transport or whatever you want to call it. But just going to clean off that excess purple stuff. Trick that I think you're kind of BATs now, just smart, just working smarter. You put this on, it holds your rotor where you want it, and now we can bring this caliper back and can actually give it a quick spurts of cleaning. Try not to put it too much on the boots, because this stuff will expand rubber and then eventually kill the rubber. So I did a little bit, but it's just quick spurts. So we'll put the caliper back on again, grease it up where you want it greased up, and then put it back in, or put the brake pads back on. So what I forgot to show you last time was pad comparisons. Can't even talk. So as you can see, this is outer left, and that's got the wear indicator on there, and this is inner, so that's just going to be your inner. Now as far as the pads go, if we take the same inner one to see what the thickness was, we still had a decent amount of life left on these. As you can tell from the indicator, it probably wouldn't have squeaked, but I feel like that's pretty much a good segue to be able to change it, because when I looked at it I was like, oh wow, there's a ton of life left in it. But then when you really look at the new pads versus the old pads, no, there wasn't a ton of life left in them. I mean, in some countries this would be considered brand new, but I think for here, for my purposes, because I'm here already doing this, I think it's fine. So we'll have brand new pads on the front, brand new rotors. As you can tell, I already greased up the front end over here, so we'll take the inner pad, remove these old pads off. Wow, I should probably clean that off now, but, and don't advise that, but get the junk on it because it will absorb it. But we'll put the inner pad in, which slides in nicely right there, and then we'll take the outer pad and it'll slide in nicely right there. And then what we'll do is we'll clean up our pins, because I haven't cleaned these up. So I'll clean up the pins, and then luckily, because I opted for the nicer ones, it came with the new hardware. So new hardware installed as well. We'll put the hardware in just like that, install it, and go from there. Cool, so now we're cooking. We're on there, the pin, the safety, or whatever you want to call it's on, this pin's on. I think I'm gonna leave this just because it's just, once I put this back on, per se that I'm worried about it moving where it's not supposed to because of this hard line. I don't even want to put a zip tie on it because I don't want the zip tie to chafe something and then end up causing more damage than what it actually should. So for now, that's going to stay the exact way, but I'll turn the wheel back over to the other side. We'll install the front wheel, and then I'll probably turn the car around and start working on the rears. The rears might be a little bit more involved just because it's not like, I call this more like a Brembo caliper setup where it's a 4 pistons, so 2 pistons on the front, 2 pistons in the rear. Normally it's just a single piston that most brake calipers have, but this is like fancy. This is like Akibono's or Brembo brake style, like you would see in like a race car. So this does have a lot of stopping power. I'm sure it'll have a ton more. After we're done with this, we do have to go burn the brakes in, so we'll go do that afterwards. But for now, we're done with the front. We'll turn it, put the wheel on, and then torque it to spec. Now we're getting the wheel back on. That's pretty much it. We'll go around. Give it a single ugga-dugga. Still want the torque wrench to do some of the work. Now we can remove this guy from underneath there and torque it down, say it ain't going nowhere. Again, double check. Pump your brakes. Pump them brakes. Pull forward and turn around. Note to self, if you're about to work on the rear brakes, don't pull the e-brake up because you won't be able to get the caliper. I mean, you'll be able to get the caliper off because I think these have shoes, but you won't be able to get the shoes out of the way. So leave that down. When we're turned around, we'll jack up the rear end. I think we'll be able to take both off because we have the axle in the back, so we'll jack it up from the pumpkin, put jack stands on either side of it, and then take both wheels off. That way we can work a little bit easier. So I decided against taking both wheels off at the same time. Just easier if I work with one. So there's only one jack stand, but the jack's still in the middle. Surprisingly, I think both sides are still lifted up off the ground, but I'd be sick if the Prado was this tall. Maybe we'll get it there one day, but this is the one car that I never want to get rid of, but it's oddly enough, it's for sale if anybody wants it. Asking $23,000 our best offer. I think I might have even brought it down to $21,000, but the more work I do to it, the more I want to keep it. But yeah, so we'll get this wheel off, go from there. All right, so took the wheel off. Oddly enough, the caliper bolts on this. Ooh, sorry, that was a quick pan. But we're 17 in the rear as well. There's this, like, I don't want to say dust shield, but some sort of shield. Mine was already almost breaking off, and so what I did was shove this guy here, started to pull the caliper back, and shove this guy here, and then completely compressed it back. So now I just got to get I had a bigger, heavier duty 3/4 ones, but now that it's loosened, I can get this guy, come over here and slip it off. Couldn't even talk. And then I'll show you, hopefully the pads are the same. Hopefully, look at this, this is interesting. I want it to come out. I don't think that's supposed to come out. No, these are lubed up. Interesting. All right, so let's take this guy off. These are pins that are also lubed. I don't want to mistakenly put those in the incorrect place, but now the most important thing that I want to see is the pads that I get, are they the correct ones? That's really what I want to know. Do they share the ones with the GX? Let us find out together if I can get this box open. Looks promising. It looks very, very promising. Same tabs, same everything. I think the only thing is now we know that the tab off of this one came off the top like this. So that's the front side. Good, I guess whoever told me correctly on the forums. Not that I doubted them, but you never know. Sometimes everybody's car could be a little bit different, like Prados. I'm sure people have ran into that, but it looks like they're all pretty much the same thing. So let me get the caliper actual like bracket off and go from there. Took a little bit of finessing because these do have shoes. The shoes don't look to be super low. They did kind of come off without any issue. The biggest thing is I need to know if Lexus had shoes in the rear. They pretty much look the same. So I'm hoping that Lexus did have shoes in the rear during this time era. We're about to find out. Yep, they did. Looks like we have the same caliper, or not caliper, but rotors here as well. So we should be cooking. The only thing is I got to figure out if there's an adjustment somewhere so that I can adjust the e-brake so the e-brake holds not as high. Like as soon as you it actually holds where it's supposed to. So we're gonna do the same thing we did to the front here, which I'll just move this stuff out of the way, and I'll take the new box and I'll take brake cleaner. And this is where you do want to go to town, clean the old stuff off. And see, normally you would tell if it has little cracks. This one doesn't, it's still good, so I'm happy with that. I'll put these back on again. I'll try to figure out a way to adjust if I need to. So clean that off really well. Let the cleaner do most of the work. And like I said, if you really want to, you come back. See why you clean them? You come back and you do it with a little bit of a rag, but I think we'll be good for now. I do want to clean this off. We're running out of brake cleaner here. May have another one inside. So, but yeah, to get the back ones off, they're just 17 mils as well. You just undo it, and then that's it, and then this will come off. I'll show you how to put that back together, but let's get this back on. I got really worried for a second because these holes weren't lining up, but luckily now they do, so we're good. They're on, they're the same size, everything looks good. I compared them already off camera. Just wipe this excess off, all this, and then we'll be good to go. I'll start. Basically what you want to do now is you take this guy, get the old one out of there. Again, we know now that that's the front, I mean the rears, that's the front. And then luckily in this box they gave me new hardware here as well. So we'll take this old hardware off, and you do want to take a wire brush and try and clean this up as much as possible. This one's okay, it doesn't look like there's a ton of rust, so I think I'll just be able to throw the new hardware back on and go from there. So take this old hardware off and then install the new one, and same thing with this clip that's up here. See how that comes off? You're going to put that back on one of those brake pads, and then we should be good to go. At the end it should look like this, just like the old ones. When I pulled the clip, it fell off of this side, and then your clips should look nice and flush like that. Now we want to take that same brake parts lubricant, and we're going to put it on the slides here like I was showing you before, on here and then on these ends as well. Put them together, slide them back on here, bolt it back up, put the caliper on, and go on your way. And then it should look something like that. That's a little, it's like I go to take some off and I put some more on. Anyways, but do it sparingly. This is what's going to prevent a ton of noise coming from your calipers anyway. So now that should be depressed all the way, in theory. Should just go in. There it goes. Just need to get pushed in a little bit more. Now that that's all put together, I'm going to take these, clean the old grease off, and then re-lube them. Don't be afraid to lube this a little bit. Kind of gives you a little bit of protection during the winter so this doesn't rust up and seize up. And just like that, you got your caliper, you got your rotor on, good to go. It's a good thing I replaced these. You can start to see where it just was not. You see these little indents? Yeah, that's not good. I think they were pad slapped in the past, but these, you could have resurfaced these again, but again, it's not worth it to me when I can get brand new ones on there. So yeah, get rid of those. Have these now, lifetime warranty on the pads and rotors, so we'll just go for it now. Now we tighten it. A couple more ugga-duggas. Now we're good. We'll torque it. This side's done. Now for the next side, we do the exact same thing and we get going. Like NASCAR. No, I'm just kidding, but still fast enough though. One-handed while holding a camera. That's not too bad. And just like that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's 1, 2, 3. I didn't really show it because it's just really quick. 1, 2, 3, done. This rotor is shot, as you can see with the grooves. See those racetrack lines? We don't want racetrack lines in our brakes. But get this cleaned up, and there is an adjustment for the e-brake right here. So that's what I'm assuming one of these holes is for, on the rotor here. Probably this bigger one and this bigger one. So to make sure I line those up to the correct place. I will go get another thing of brake cleaner, clean this all up, and then put it all back together. And just like that, it's done. If you wanted to adjust the parking brake, it's pretty straightforward. What you'd need to do is put the transmission into neutral, take the e-brake down, pump all the brakes to where they're supposed to be, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna tighten that up until you basically have a little bit of tension on this. Again, I won't be able to get to this because I have to get to other things, so I'm gonna put this wheel back on. It holds for me in a way that I'm not too worried about it, so in the future when I can get back here to, you know, work on it, I will. These are a little worrisome that the rust is in there, but I guess it is pretty thick stuff. I don't know. I wonder if the frame's supposed to be that thick. I want to go with yes, but yeah, I don't know. Huh, interesting. Anyways, I would like to get new shocks and rotors for all around it, but we'll see in the future. For now, this is where I'm at with the Prado. So we'll put the wheel back on it and then pump the brakes and then go for a drive to Burnaman. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Yeah, I had to do the brakes all around, so. All right, the final piece of today, besides burning in the brakes, is actually putting on the new JDM filter. Yes, this one is JDM. This one came directly from Japan, so you can tell it's a fresh, brand new filter. Come to the front here, pop the hood, and put it on. So now, just have to undo this, pop this guy up, grab this filthy filter out of here one-handed. Oh my gosh. This is a Denso, which is nice. Let's take that one out, grab the new one, which has a nice grab handle to it, pop it into place, and now we're good. Snap it shut, we're good to go. Fresh oil, fresh brakes, fresh starter, fresh air filter. Put some BChem 12 tool through it to make sure that fuel system is nice and clean. Now we'll go burn the brakes. We'll go throw this out and the rest of the brake stuff. But before I forget, because I know I will forget, let's turn it on. Let's pump the brake. See, that comes up really high. You can adjust it so it pretty much comes up to there and that's it. And it'll hold it, but should be good now. Go get rid of this trash. And then we'll start, we'll grab the family and go burn the brakes in. This came to my old job to get rid of some of the scrap metal that I had from this. Already burning the brakes in, you can already tell. I actually stopped and there was a lot of smoke because that's what happens as you burn off all the crud that's on the rotors and then the pads as well. All right, cool. So the Prado's driving great now. Brakes are actually holding the way they're supposed to when you go. They're not like brand new cars where they're super touchy and you can just hit the brake and my car stops right away, but it stops pretty well. I'm surprised. Now noticing my alignment might be off on this car, so may have to get it aligned, but we came to pick this guy up and this is headed over to Colorado to TJ, so shout out to TJ, thanks for buying it. So soon that'll be in Colorado. Hopefully the transporter coming to pick it up between sometime I think 6 and 9 p.m. today, so we'll see. Hopefully everything goes well. But yeah, this little bread looking van, because it looks like a loaf of bread by the color of it too, that can hit 70 miles per hour, not an issue. It is a fuel injected one, twin cam, which is really cool. Un deer, we'll see. But yeah, I guess this is probably where I'll end the video. Maybe I'll show a clip of the brakes now that they're burned in. But now the car's got it washed. But I'm happy that basically all the services are done on it already. And all the major things. I think the next thing that I'll probably have the mechanic do, because I don't want to get involved with it, is the timing belt and the water pump. So at some point I'll get those done.